when record deposits of copper, gold, and silver were discovered in the Cleopatra Hills between Sedona and Prescott, Arizona, you come up with the wickedest town in the West. Saloons, brothels, gunfights, and ghosts. It's all here in Jerome, Arizona.
Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today we are in Jerome, Arizona, ghost town and mining community. And behind me, you'll see the Audrey Headframe.
Now be sure to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell so it keeps our channel strong.
And this was established in 1918. This is huge.
Now this head frame is 1,900 feet deep. The Audrey Headframe is deeper than the height of the Empire State Building. Now that's just a little piece of history here in Jerome, and there's so much to share. So let's take a look at how deep this actually is when we look down inside of it.
So when you get up here on the head frame, you can see, I don't know if you can see how far down this goes, but look at how deep that goes. And you stand on this plexiglass over the top of it and look down. This is the old cable winch car that they used to use to remove debris from out of the mines. They would block the wheels on this and then use these cables. Obviously it was pressurized. It's an old winch and it would be used to drag things out of the mines on this old cable car. An old ore cart. A little bit different than your standard small ore car that you see. In a lot of the mines it's a little bit larger size. Now this right here is the shift change whistle. This is a whistle they used to blow when they changed shifts for the miners. Sound carried everywhere. Imagine 15,000 people in town, all looking up at the same time when the whistle went off. That's a giant whistle. There's an old lift there. Look at that. You could probably get, well, 2 people in there to go down in the shaft. It still has the old wires, chains that are connecting that, and the old doors on there. Well, they move back and forth still. Not rusted yet. And all the cables, hundreds of feet of cable that used to lower that down into the mine.
Now this was a giant head frame. But let's get into talking about Jerome. Jerome, Arizona is also known as the Copper Queen on the Hill. It used to hold the reputation as the wickedest town in the West. But Jerome was born from a copper mining camp. Though it started as a group of tents, Jerome soon grew into a mining community, worth more than $1 billion. During the peak, the mining operation in Jerome's copper deposits were among the richest in the world. Jerome's population grew alongside its riches in nearly 15,000 people on its early hilltop, making it the 4th largest city in the area at the time. Today, Jerome houses about 435 residents, give or take, and I'm sure that's depending on the time of the year because it gets extremely hot here. And what we're looking at here is the sliding jail. In 1930s, a dynamite explosion for the copper miners caused Jerome's jail to slide off of its foundation 225 feet into the middle of the town's main street. Now the road was altered to go around it.
You can see this one's coming apart. They bolted it with a heavy iron, and then you see the hooks they put here to keep it together. The famous sliding jail.
Now, one of the reasons that Jerome was called the wickedest town in the West is due to the brothels, opium dens, and saloons. That just sounds like a mix for wicked. Now, Jenny's place was no exception. It wasn't the only house of ill repute in Jerome, but it was the grandest. And this place burnt down 3 times in Jerome's history, and the last time it was rebuilt, it was the first place in town to have a paved sidewalk. and the place still exists today. And it is called the House of Joy, located right here. And those pictures showing the ladies on the porch are on that porch right above us. Jerome became extremely popular in 1899 as a lot of the newspapers, the San Francisco Examiner and the Phoenix newspaper, described this as the wickedest town in America. And that's where it got its title. But then we had one beggarly-looking church and at least 16 saloons and more going up. So you can imagine what happened in this town with all of the alcohol and brothels popping up right here in this copper and gold mining town. Now the townsfolk had quite a few runs of bad luck. And maybe they just needed to live it up at all the saloons and the places to have a little fun. But multiple catastrophic fires destroyed Jerome. But the richness of the mines in those hills assured that it would be rebuilt each time. And it was. Now here's the old blast furnace that was here. And they've got it right in the middle of town. Like many of the things to see, they're just dropped right here alongside the streets. And it almost looks like the streets of San Francisco, as every road is elevated with twisty turns. Take a look at this ornate old safe. Now as you walk around Jerome, it's easy to see that there's many art galleries, candy shops, and some modern day little stores that are built in the old buildings. But never forget that like many boom towns, Jerome has had its period of lawlessness, and in 1895 the community recorded its first killing. The unlucky victim was Charles Ward. He and a railroad engineer named Jake Brown got into an argument, and Brown promptly shot Ward to death. And in that same summer, Jerome's popular lawman, Charlie King, was killed in the line of duty. Recruited as his replacement was Johnny Hudgens, former city marshal of Ely, Nevada. And Johnny Hudgens was, of course, a fearless, deadly adversary. With frosty eyes and ice water in his veins, this may be one reason that Jerome, Arizona is a ghost town with many ghost tours and buildings with ghost hunters from all over the world coming to this location. And just take a look at this amazing church in the middle of this reckless town. Now this is the Holy Family Church. Now, this has been standing since 1900. The original was a wood structure built here in Jerome, and it was lost by fire. So they went with this masonry building, and we were able to go inside and take a look at all of its beauty, and the tremendous pipe organ that they have up top still plays and exists today. Now the nickname is the Miners' Church, and the congregation consisted mostly of Hispanic and European immigrant workers. And when it was constructed, the cost was a mere $20,000, and there's that giant pipe organ that's up top when you walk in. As you tour the streets of Jerome, you'll know why it is allegedly filled with so many spirits of the past that it is affectionately known as Ghost City. And it has made many visitors and residents who were previously skeptics believers in the paranormal. Let's walk over to a hot spot in Jerome, the Bartlett Hotel. Now the Bartlett was once a bustling place, built on the site where a different hotel stood before it was burned down in 1898. Rebuilt as the Bartlett, the hotel had shops on the ground floor and rooms above. The hotel was damaged during the landslide of the 1930s, and later parts of the building were sold as scrap. And much of the steel here, as you can see, is very ornate.
You can see the ornate ironwork that they put up here. The old ironwork of Los Angeles.
You can see by the beautiful ornate ironwork and construction of this building that it was really something to see back in the day. And now in portions of the building down below, you'll see that the artists have came in and filled the archways full of interesting art. Now this town has no shortage of galleries to look at, but at the same time, don't forget to look around the corners and find the ruins of what is left of a historic ghost town. Now, it is no exaggeration to say that the artists and craftspeople saved Jerome. The town's former high school, for example, houses the Jerome Art Center, where more than 30 artists rent studio space. Throughout the town, galleries are tucked in former houses and storefronts, showcasing furniture, photography, fine art, jewelry, and more. But again, don't forget to go down these side streets and see what was once the wickedest town in the West. Destroyed by catastrophic fires and violent deaths from the town's early days, this has led Jerome to be a ghost town status. Over the years, there have been several accounts of ghosts and apparitions that roam this town's historic buildings and neighborhoods. Even ghost tours and spirit walks introduce visitors to the local hotels, houses, hospitals, and high schools that former residents are said to haunt. We hope you enjoyed this adventure to Jerome Ghost Town and mining community as much as we did. And until our next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades, and we'll see you in the next one.